Zscaler Workflow Automation tool is an in-house incident management workflow designed for customers to manage both inline and out-of-band CASB DLP incidents. This tool provides an incident dashboard where the incident management team can triage DLP incidents. Each incident includes the artifacts which triggered the DLP transaction and the metadata associated with it. So we'll start with Zscaler Workflow Automation order of operation. We'll then create the AWS stack to create resources needed to set up Zscaler Workflow Automation. And once all the ZWA pieces are in place, we'll trigger a DLP violation, verify the evidence and trigger data both in ZWA portal as well as in AWS S3. So let's get started. The user first attempt to send the data that violates the DLP policy. ZIA Public Service Edge detects transaction that violates the DLP policy and forwards violation information to AWS Incident Receiver. Incident Receiver stores the file in the Zscaler DLP incident data bucket and metadata with trigger data in Zscaler DLP incident metadata bucket. Both S3 buckets have server-side encryption with Amazon S3 managed keys. The metadata S3 bucket publishes object-created notification to the SNS topic. Zscaler service subscribes an SQS queue, which is hosted in Zscaler AWS account, to the SNS topic. For cross-account communication, SNS topics are encrypted using KMS. Note KMS encryption is optional. Zscaler service receives the message from SQS queue about the incident metadata file location. Note that the trigger data is not copied to the Zscaler AWS account. Zscaler service finally uses the cross-account role to download the incident metadata file from S3 metadata bucket. Note that this is your AWS, whereas this is the Zscaler AWS account. To set up Zscaler Workflow Automation, we'll first enable the workflow automation and create the AWS stack using CloudFormation template. We'll then create the AWS integration in the workflow automation portal and finally create the Zscaler incident receiver in AWS using EC2 instance. To begin with, you need to request Zscaler support to enable workflow automation in your ZIA tenant and request the AMI for the incident receiver. Provide Zscaler support, your AWS account ID, and the region in which the AMI is dropped. We'll then create the AWS resources, which can be done either manually, but Zscaler recommend create the stack using CloudFormation template. On the workflow automation on the left, you click on integrations to open the integration dashboard. Under available applications, click to add AWS integration to download the CloudFormation template. Once the template is downloaded, log into the AWS portal, select the CloudFormation service, choose the region where you want the S3 bucket to be created before creating the stack. Verify the events, the output, and resources created by the stack. So as we have seen that the middle orange block is your AWS account, and the CloudFormation stack that we have executed creates these two S3 buckets and the SNS topic. The Zscaler incident receiver has to be created manually. Using the output from the CloudFormation stack, we now add the AWS integration in the workflow automation. So these highlighted 5 fields are entered in the Zscaler Workflow Automation AWS integration. You validate the configuration, and finally it should show the status enabled, and it should be in the connected state. The final step is to launch the Zscaler Incident Receiver EC2 using the AMI provided by Zscaler support. Go to config.zscaler.com, select the cloud at the top of your ZIA instance running, and on the left under DLP Incident Receiver, click Zscaler Hub IP addresses to copy the IPs. These IPs must be configured for the security group inbound rule on port 1344 to allow Incident Receiver to communicate with the Zscaler cloud. Once the IR-EC2 is launched, create Zscaler Incident Receiver in ZIA portal. Provide the server name, the URI, and download the certificate. Push the certificate to the EC2 instance to configure Incident Receiver. provide the region, the two S3 buckets. It validates the certificate, checks the S3 configuration, and configures the incident receiver. Once the incident receiver is successfully created, you should see output something like this. So let's just quickly verify what we have covered so far. We'll use an inline DLP policy that uses the ZWA incident receiver. We'll trigger a DLP violation by uploading a file that contains social security numbers. We'll verify the incident recorded in the ZWA portal. Next, I'll show that the DLP violation contents, including the evidence data file, is saved in the data bucket, and the JSON file containing the metadata and the trigger data saved in the metadata bucket. Since we also have DLP notification enabled, we'll quickly verify notification received by the DLP admin. So here is the inline DLP policy. As you can see, it uses the SSN engine, and here is the ZWA incident receiver. This is the ZWA portal. Here are my two S3 buckets. You could see that right now we don't have any triggered violation here, and we'll come back once we trigger the violation here. So let's try to upload a file that contains social security number. You'll see that I'm not allowed to do so. We'll go back and verify the contents here. You'll see that this is the evidence file that is being now saved in the data bucket, whereas if you go back and check the metadata bucket, that has the JSON file. And if we go and verify the incident, see there's one more incident that's being recorded. Earlier it was showing 23 incidents. So these are the incident details, the timestamp, the action. This is the user that triggered the violation, DLP rules, engines, dictionaries. This is the content, the file that the user tried to upload, and the evidence data. And if we verify, this is the notification that as a DLP admin I have received. So just to quickly sum up what we have covered is that we started with the order of operation. We saw the sequence of events for Zscaler Workflow Automation. Then we went into the details of the step that needs to be done to set up ZWA and tie it to your ZIA tenant. And finally, we did the verification. So I hope you find the contents presented here useful. If you have any questions, let me know. Thanks and have a great day.